This is an introduction to Michel Foucault's Discipline and Punish, the Birth of the Prison. Discipline and Punish is a historical narrative by Michel Foucault, which is subtitled as The Birth of the Prison. The book explores ways of domination and social construction of individuals. It not only analyzes power, but it also explains the modern forms of exercising power, which Foucault calls discipline. Foucault starts from a study of penal history, which brings into focus the way in which violent, repressive forms of government, like the execution, gave way at a particular time to mild reforming techniques represented by the prison. So this focus broadens out to produce a general picture of a gentler form of control, which is via inspection, discipline, normalization, which have come to take the place of repressive violence in the strategies of law and government. In this way, the prison is conceived as epitomizing a wide social form where modern techniques of control are revealed in their full unbridled operation. A very close analysis of the machinery of imprisonment and of knowledge on which it is based can form the basis for a journal anatomy of modern forms of power and control. Foucault finds it very hard to resist, and therefore, for him, the prison is a metaphor or a microcosm of our disciplinary society, and that the birth of the prison is described by him as the development of the modern society itself. The opening section of Discipline and Punish sets up the problem the book will unravel by presenting a startling opposition between two different styles of punishment. So the penal patterns are the main concern of Foucault in the book Discipline and Punish. The first is the execution of a regicide conducted in a public square in Paris in 1757 before a crowd of spectators. At that time, this execution was a ritual of atrocities in which the body of the condemned man was utterly destroyed beneath a display of authorized violence. The second is an institutional timetable used in a Paris reformatory some 80 years later, setting out minutely detailed regime to regulate the daily lives of its inmates. Now, at this time, the punishment takes place in silence, in private, and proceeds without any overt ceremony or violence. The violent execution is characteristic of a classical society, whereas the modern punishment emerges in the form of the birth of the prison. The change in the penal styles, which according to Foucault took place in Europe and United States between 1750 and 1820, is to be understood as a qualitative shift rather than a mere decrease in the quantity or intensity of punishment. The target of punishment shifted from the measures of the body, the condemned body, to the soul. At the same time, the objective of punishment undergoes a change so that the concern is now less to avenge the crime than to transform the criminal who stands behind it. This change in the penal technology from the scaffold to the penitentiary signifies for Foucault a deep change in the character of justice. So in particular, the prison introduced not only the criminal, but also ways of understanding his criminality and the ways to intervene to correct them wherever possible, which had profound implications for the whole system of criminal justice. In this modern system, the focus of judgment shifts away from the crime towards the questions of character, of family, background, and of the individual's history and environment. This will ultimately involve the introduction of experts like psychiatrists, criminologists, and social workers into the judicial process with the aim of forming knowledge of the individual, identifying his abnormalities, and bringing about his reformation. The result of these changes is a system of dealing with offenders that is not so much punitive as corrective, more intent on producing normal, conforming individuals than dispensing punishment. So the penal system at that time, what could be called, was simply a means of correction. The fundamental concepts that are quite common in this writing of Foucault are about power, knowledge, and body. So power for him is a form of domination and subordination in the social relationships, whereby the bodies can be mastered, subjected, and rendered docile. In the name of obedience, the bodies are subjugated, believes Foucault. So soul is the prison of the body, and this is the catchphrase, by Foucault. So in this book, he unearths the elementary structures of power through the spectacle of the scaffold in a very narrative form,